first
Well,
started?
so it was a 25-year career, which came to a crashing end. And that was just due to 10 years of operational duty, stemming from, well, even just joining the army is traumatic enough. And then Northern Ireland, Kosovo, Iraq tours, and the culmination of all of that together, it does take a toll. Yeah, absolutely.
What was it that was getting to you the most? What was it that you were seeing or you were experiencing that was really difficult to deal with? And how were you trying to deal with it at the time when it was happening?
Well, as I say, the post-traumatic stress disorder is there's two main sort of cases. There's an incident, so a road traffic accident or a traumatic incident.
Yeah.
But a lot of time, the soldiers, especially veterans, are dealing with a culmination of trauma, and then the roller coaster ride back into civilian street, and then back up again, and trauma, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So really, for me, was the 2004 Iraq tour.
Okay.
And 2004 in Iraq for British soldiers was, we were back into war fighting, which was, traumatic in itself. So for me, I was doing my job.
Yeah.
But because of the trauma and the pressures of Northern Ireland, Kosovo, 10 years of service, then when you hit this major 6 weeks of war fighting and seeing, not only injuries, but, a death of soldiers as well and civilians, but also the sheer stress and pressure that you're under for, just day-to-day existence when you're war fighting.
Did you feel unprepared? Like, could there have been something done that would have kind of prepared you for the kind of things that you experienced, or would you say that no amount of preparation would be able to?
Yes, you are well trained. We're the best army in the world, without a shadow of a doubt, and that's well known. And we are well trained, and you do train. So really, a sort of 6-month tour, it lasts for 18 months. So you're training for a year all the way through that. Into that incident. But what we found is that. And what other veterans through all other conflicts have found is the fact is that you can't train for it. You can't train for it. They do their best, and it's getting better. They're introducing amputees as battlefield casualties. Obviously they've lost their limbs already. And they lots of movie makeup and so on and so forth. But it's not real. It's not real. But when it happens for real, then it does have an impact.
How did you cope at the time?
Training and brotherhood.
Would you say, okay?
So you're trained. I was in a position of command, and therefore you have to portray that commander. You can't be the person to be seen to be letting other people down. Was that what made it worse, though? The fact that you had to sort of keep it together. Yes, I mean that's that. I mean because you can't let it go. It's all in all the time on top of you. And there are quiet moments where you take yourself to one side and sort yourself out, but you can't do it because you're back into it. Literally hours later, minutes later, days later, and so the actual stress and pressure that just being in the forces adds on to that. It is trauma in itself.
What happened then when you came back home and you tried to sort of get back into normal life?
Well, there was lots of circumstances. I was away from my own parent unit. There was, obviously lots of press involved and everything else. But my family were up north, so I then had to, wait a couple of days. I was at home, and back in the UK, and then I had to travel up north. And you then, in order to go back into a normal, I was in a training establishment, which is training soldiers to become soldiers, and so there's no comparison. You're literally 1 minute, fighting in the streets of Iraq, and then within 2 or 3 days later, you're shopping in Tesco's. It's difficult. And so the core values, you try and hold the core values together in the British Forces. Courage, discipline, respect, integrity, loyalty. But one of the ones is selfless commitment, and that selfless commitment, you soldier first. And that I really struggled because. All of a sudden, I couldn't be the soldier anymore, let alone the father, the husband, the brother, the son, but the soldier. And that is, and then all of a sudden, because there was the depression was kicking in, and then there was anger issues, and then there was self-medication, getting drunk, and and trying to deal with that, and then all of a sudden you have a normal family instant, your kid spilling a glass of water or whatever, and I just went absolutely exploded.
Wow.
And it was just a struggle just to try to hold that in. So at home I was a horrible man, but at work I wore the military mask, and you're conflicted. You can't mix the two, and you always want to be that soldier. And then all of a sudden that just fell over because I wasn't working well at all.
What was the worst moment for you, Mark?
Well, the worst moment for me was the realisation that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't be the soldier anymore. And that was it. And I thought, well, if I can't be that soldier anymore, then I may as well not be here. And
really?
so, yeah, it was, and I thought, well, that's it,
And what about your family, though?
Well, you don't think about the family. I was thinking that, they're better off without me. What's the point of me being here? If I can't be...
Which of course you now know.
I now know.
That's a point actually I want to highlight, because people that are feeling suicidal, they always have this thought like, my family will be better off without me, I'm not adding to their life, I'm making things worse at home. They really think that, but it's not true. Your family want you around.
Of course they do, and you realise that. And you realise that.
But at the time, it's so like, it just makes sense, doesn't it? At the time, like, it's better for me to go.
I always said that, and will do, is the toughest thing that I've ever done was attempted suicide. Yeah. The toughest thing. It's not an easy way out at all. Not an easy way out. And to go through that process of, this is it, as far as I'm concerned, I'm ending my life, whichever way, you decide to do it. But, tough decision. Very, very tough.
And what happened after that? So you attempted suicide. Did someone find you?
Or did you luckily, unfortunately, ex-wife was medically trained, and she helped me get through that process. She called my father, and my father turned up, and then it was literally, right, Mark, you need to do something. You need to sort something out. But then again, that's the military. Again, just that. Walk into the medical centre, and go and see the doctor and say, I just tried to kill myself. But very, very quickly, the system took over. We have the Department of Mental Health within the Armed Forces. They then interviewed me, and within 12 hours, I was in a military hospital, a mental health wing. And there I was for 8 weeks. But it took, in my mind, sort of 3 or 4 weeks of actual steadying treatment, getting me off of the drink, sleeping properly, eating properly, socialising properly, anger issues.
What was going through your mind when you were going through all of this?
I just wanted to, unfortunately with post-traumatic stress disorder, you don't wear a bandage, you walk down the street, everybody sees a 6'4" bloke, but not knowing what's going on inside. That proverbial swan on the surface and paddling like buggery underneath. And so I was trying to make sense of what was going through it. I mean, I was going at 1,000 miles an hour, all the time. You couldn't sleep, And then it just came out. It just came out. I was on a run. I was, a lot of service personnel use fitness as a means of recovery or just training. And I was with a nurse, poor her, she was running after me. But I just came around the corner, and there was just a flashback, and I just fell over. Really? And it just came flooding out. I was, an absolute in tatters. And they had to call, an ambulance to come and pick me up because I just couldn't move. And that was it. And I just sat down, and they said, Mark, you've got severe post-traumatic stress disorder.
The fact that now there was a name to it, that they said, okay, this is what you have. Did that make it any easier to start to deal with it, or it still didn't make sense to you at the time? No,
there's a lot of learning through the treatment that I have, and I'm still having treatment with the London Veterans Service, and it's an understanding. Why does this, it's a brain injury, so why has my brain decided to do this? And it's understanding how the memories are not stored, or how it affects you, because I mean, I can smell it, I can taste it, I can see it, and it will never ever go away. But what it does is that you learn to react to why, what all of a sudden, you know, jump out my skin or something like that, you know. And I use the factors of, you know, that I realise I'm in a safe environment. I take 5, I assess what's going on, and then I'll reflect on why that's happened, and then maybe I can change that.
So you know how to deal with it now? Like
Yeah. And that's what, you know, and it's taken, you know, since my diagnosis, 2005, to actually, to get this far.
Mark, tell us now about Hero Handyman, because you've done something amazing, haven't you?
Well, yes.
How it's helped you as well.
Well, how it's helped me is the fact is that, you know, I was placed in recovery with Help for Heroes, and Help for Heroes listen, you know, it's all about you as an individual. You're not a sergeant major or whatever, or in the army or the navy or whatever. And so what they did is they work on you as an individual and guide you through the journey. So I then went through Pathfinder program, which is for veterans. I was then introduced to just working for myself. You know, the girlfriend said, "Oh, decorate the bathroom," and so I did that. And then it just snowballed into a business. And how that came about, I was doing a talk for Help for Heroes, and they said, yes, let's do it. And I said, well, how do I do that? And they introduced me to Ex-Forces, Red and Kapoor, absolutely fantastic. And then through Ex-Forces, then led on to the Building Heroes, which is a charity that supports veterans into the construction industry.
That's amazing.
And it just took off.
Yeah.
Absolutely took off. And it's all recommendations and word of mouth, and you know, 1 job's led to 5 jobs led to.
You've got a lovely smile on your face when you're talking about this. That's obviously something that you're loving to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And it's recovery. 3 places on this planet where I am not in Iraq or Ireland or in the army. The golf course, the sport industry. Talking about my PTSD and recovery. Yeah. And also working, because it's well-being. Seeing the smile on somebody's face when they turn around and go, "You're a hero." But there's 2 sides to me. The fact is that I am ex-veteran. I've served my country. In the eyes of the general public, I'm a hero. Yeah. And when I do something in somebody's property, and they're like, "Oh, you're a hero," and that's it. So yeah, the hero in your home.
That's lovely. Mark, just if there's someone watching now that has been through something traumatic, not necessarily being a soldier or something else, but they've been through some trauma, what advice would you give to them?
Well, first of all is that it probably won't be you that spot what's going on, it'll be somebody else. And so actually having somebody come up to you and go, "You're all right," and if you think, "Oh, I'm fine." And if that is then hard for you to actually put your hand up, the hardest thing is to put your hand up and just go and seek some advice, some help from the doctor. That's the best thing. You know, if you're not sleeping at night, or it's flashbacks, or you know, intrusive memories, or anything that you know. And so just go and seek professional help. It's confidential, and there's so many services out there which can help. But if you don't ask, you don't get, unfortunately.
Definitely. Mark, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I'm sure it's helped many people.
I hope so too.
And all the best with Hero Handyman and all your talks that you're doing.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely amazing.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.